Hello and welcome to Hacktivity Explained, the episodes where I take a look at some bug bounty reports from the real world and analyze them for you. Today we'll be taking a look at two account takeovers, one from Uber and one from Zenly. If you want to learn more about account takeovers, be sure to subscribe to this channel as I will be doing a video on them soon. So first we'll examine the report from Uber. Uber is a ride-sharing application where users can book rides with drivers. The idea is that drivers can create accounts on the Uber platform, and then riders who can also create accounts can book rides with them. It works kind of like a taxi service. On the Uber mobile app, there is a feature where a user can create an account without using a username. They can simply register using their phone number. However, this feature did not verify if the phone number didn't already belong to another user on the Uber platform. This is likely because this feature was at the end of a very long sign-up process, which included entering details like the first name, last name, payment details, and the phone number. So it is likely that the developer simply forgot to validate this, as after a very long sign-up flow, they likely had to put in a lot of other authorization checks. This resulted in an IDOR vulnerability on this phone number, and using the endpoint to create a new password, the attacker was able to reset any user's password on this website. And the request for that can be seen as follows. The attacker simply put in their own phone number in the phone number box and could enter in any new password. And this would automatically override the password that the user had saved on the backend database. Uber classes as a critical vulnerability, and it was triaged in just 3 hours and quickly fixed soon after. The bounty for this bug was $10,000, which is a great 5-digit payout for a simple IDOR vulnerability like this. And the fix for this was to simply add the authorization check to the missing endpoint. This bug shows us that many developers may forget to place authorization checks at the end of long flows. So for example, this sign-up flow, it took a lot of steps to get to it. And because of that, it is likely that the developers simply lost track of where they should put the authorization checks, which is great for finding bugs. So in the real world, if you have any long flows, it may be worth it to check not just to start for authorization checks, but also the middle and end, as this is where bugs are more frequently to be found. As this bug was also found in the mobile app, it is also important to realize that it is important to test all possible attack vectors for vulnerabilities. Many attackers may have missed this simple vulnerability because they simply didn't check the mobile app and they simply relied on the web app, which may have had a different sign-up flow. This is also especially important because different teams tend to work on the mobile app versus the desktop app or the web app, so it can create inconsistencies and bugs between the two platforms, which we as the attackers can exploit. As well as this, it also shows where account takeovers can actually be found, not just in the login flow or some kind of authorization flow like OAuth or SAML, but they can definitely also be found in the sign-up process, as if you can override any existing user's details, you could be able to access their account. So next we'll take a look at the report from Zenly. So Zenly is a social media platform, or I should say was a social media platform, that allowed users to share their location live with their friends. I say was because the application was acquired by Snapchat in 2017, and it was now integrated into the Snap Maps feature of Snapchat. But therefore this bug bounty program unfortunately no longer exists. But anyways, the bug in Zenly is a pre-account takeover vulnerability. So that's where the attacker exploits the sign-up process before the victim actually registers on the platform. When the legitimate user comes to sign up, the attacker can then log into their account because the attacker created some kind of special condition so that when the user logs in, they are also able to hijack their session. So in Zenly, like in Uber, phone numbers were used to create accounts. And there was two endpoints responsible for that. One of them was a session create endpoint, and the other one was a session verify endpoint. The session create endpoint would return a token to the user which was associated with their phone number. However, the researcher realized that the session create endpoint actually returns the same token for the same phone number right up until verification occurs. So if I have the phone number 1234567A and I go to sign up for Zenly, if I use this on the session create endpoint, it will return the same token no matter how many times I call the endpoint until I verify my phone number. And this detail is important, as an attacker can actually hold on to this token and wait for a legitimate user to verify their account. As soon as the legitimate user verifies their account, the attacker can then log into that account. What is the impact of this? Well, for example, you often have to provide personal details before you can sign up for an account. If an attacker can hijack your account as soon as you log in, they may be able to take those personal details from you. Personal details like your first and last name, your birthday, maybe your email address as well. This can expose personal details to an attacker. So Zenly classed this as a high impact vulnerability, and the reason it wasn't a critical is because a user couldn't already have an account on Zenly and they had to actually create that account, and then the attacker had to actually know the victim's phone number before they could exploit this vulnerability. So that level of user interaction and attacker knowledge pushed this vulnerability down from critical to high. The key takeaways here are that pre-account takeovers are often missed by many bug bounty hunters. They don't often look for these things, even though they can still pay very well. Zenly awarded this bug with $7,000, which is still a sizable payout. It is also important to pay attention to every aspect in the login creation flow. The session create endpoint returning the same token is a very small detail and led to a very creative attack, so it is important to pay attention to these things. Many attackers likely completely missed this vulnerability. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to check out my video on race conditions, where I detail what race conditions are and where they can be found by looking at real bug bounty examples like these two that I just talked about here. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and happy hunting.